Good morning, I'm Stephen Datt, serving as the chair of the Awards Committee. I'd like to call the September 16th, 2021 awards meeting to order. We have a physical quorum present, represented by Ivu, Joe Arfano, and myself. We also have Blake Osner, serving as a delegate for Laura Dutton, and Ricky Erickson will be joining us soon. But with 4 people represented, we do have a quorum. OGC, I believe, is represented by David Miggett. Yes, I see him. David, did you do a sound check already?
I did. Can you still hear me fine?
Yes, thank you very much. Okay. And budget is represented by Lori Whitmer. We also have our Chief Financial Officer, Ted Phillips, joining us this morning as well. Before we begin reviewing today's agenda, I'll note that there isn't anyone physically present for public comment. Say, Glenn, is there any public comment via email or on the phone?
No public comment.
Okay. I'll pause for a moment just to allow the callers to unmute and speak up.
Ricky Erickson has joined us now.
Okay, and just note that Ricky Erickson has joined us via WebEx. All right, we'll proceed with today's regular agenda. We have items 1 through 7. The items have been reviewed by Procurement and Budget and are ready for Awards Committee review. Beginning with item 1, representing the minutes from September 9th, 2021, Awards Committee meeting. Are there any comments or corrections to be discussed?
Joe Arfano, I was not in attendance last Thursday.
Okay.
Can that be edited to reflect that? Thank you. And Julie Crawford was acting as my delegate.
Any other comments, corrections? Not hearing any. Can I have a...
On those comments, I wasn't here either, Stephen, so just letting you know that I wasn't present at the meeting either.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes based on the corrections mentioned?
Joe Arfano, so moved.
Ivu, second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, minutes are approved as presented. Okay, I'll pass it over to Jenny McCollum, our Chief Procurement Officer, to walk us through each of the remaining items before we ask for a motion.
Thank you, Stephen. Through the chair, I'd like to start with award number 2. This is a request for proposal. This is for our janitorial services, and this is a sheltered market. We are sheltering just at the substations, lift stations, chiller plant, and treatment plants. EverSafe Building Maintenance Corp is our recommended awardee and our incumbent, and we are recommending the award amount for this contract at $774,743.90. This is a 1-year contract with 2 1-year optional renewals. And we received 3 bids at the time of opening, one of which was disqualified for not being a certified JSEB on the proposal due date. We evaluated the companies on rates, company experience, cleaning industry management standard certifications, and quality metrics, and EverSafe Building Maintenance Corp was deemed the highest evaluated. I'll make a note that the award amount of a little under $775,000 is about 64% higher than what we had budgeted, primarily due to JEA adding lines to the workbook to align with actual services being performed at the water or the wastewater treatment plant. When we compare the pricing with the current contract and the new contract for the cleaning services at all the other sites, they remained flat and fit and the same as our current contract. I believe, previously there were additional areas within the water or the wastewater treatment plants where pricing wasn't included in the current contract. And they were being performed at no charge to JEA. So budget has worked with the business and adjusted the budget to cover the increase. The additional funds will be utilized from the industrial services budget. So I will pause there and see if the business would like to add any further detail, and if not, we can pass it to the committee for questions or comments.
Jenny, unless anyone has questions, I'm fine. This is Melanie.
Okay, thanks, Melanie. All right, any questions from the committee members on award number 2?
So Jenny, this is Haibu. I'm gonna have the same comment I had with the contract with the electric side of the company. Although for this contract, it's a very small percent of the overall amount, so it's not a big concern. But my comment is that, again, the company is charging JEA $12.55 an hour, which I'm perfectly fine with. But, well, they're paying the folks $12.55 an hour, but they are only charging JEA $12.55 an hour. So it concerns me that there's no markup. So how do they make the money there? But on the flip side, it's really only for the ad hoc cleaning services and emergency cleaning services within this contract, and it's only a few $100s of the overall contract amount. They are charging, I see, per site, per visit versus per hour, so that's good. So I say all that just to comment that rarely see a company charging JEA exactly the same amount that they pay their employees without any markup, because that's how they cover overhead, admin cost, and profit, right? So just a general comment there. But overall, if they're going to charge JEA per site for the majority of the contract, then I'm okay with it.
Okay, thank you. Hi. This is a pretty big success story for this company. And if Chrissy is on, Chrissy, are you on today? I think she could probably just share some insight to this company and the work that they've performed.
So EverSafe is a JSEB, and they gave us, we featured them actually. We have talked to them and featured them on our JSEB summit, but J.R. Meadows is so grateful to JEA for the work that he has, and we've had discussions with him before. Melanie and I have had discussions with him before, just to make sure that he is charging us fairly and accurately, because he does do a lot of work for us that, you know, he probably definitely could be charging more for. But he said that he is so grateful to JEA that we've supported his business, allowed his business to grow, that he wouldn't be where he is today without JEA. And so it's just a really nice story. He's a really good vendor, and he's just so appreciative, and it really tells a good story about the JSEB program in general.
And so I'll add to that, you know, he has confirmed with Chrissy and Melanie that, you know, he's making enough to thrive and to be able to add employees and continue to support JEA. So we don't have a concern there, but I understand the comment and just wanted to share the conversations that we've had with the vendor as well. So I will pass it back to Stephen for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I have a motion to approve award item 2?
Haibu, so moved.
And a second?
Joe Orfano, second.
All right, award 2, we have a motion from Haibu and a second from Joe Orfano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted.
Okay, great. Through the chair, award number 3 is a contract amendment in a change order. This is for Oracle Customer to Meter, which we refer to as C2M project, for director support and critical gap assessment and consulting work. We originally bid this out to find a vendor to provide project oversight and governance services for the successful completion of JEA's project to transition over from Oracle's customer care and billing system, which is CCMB, to our C2M, or to Oracle's C2M module. We were looking for 2 areas of support here. One was the consultant to act as a project director to work alongside JEA and vendor resources for successful completion of the project. That included project leadership, project governance, executive reporting. The second area of support was an assessment of the current project to identify critical issues and gaps and remediation steps to help resolve issues and formulate the change management plan for the business units and technology teams. That includes required policy and procedure modifications. So Red Clay Consulting was our original awardee, just under $300,000, and that was back in May of 2021. We are expecting this project to be completed around March, or go live would be March of 2022, and post go live would be June of 2022 as well. The amount of this change order is $1,661,514. That is made up of the support. I've got the breakdowns in the background. So the payment's gonna be a change order with a lump sum milestone payments that's spelled out in the background, and we have those broken out. And that's about a little under 1.5 of the award total. And those are fixed fees. So as they complete them, the milestone, we will pay them for the services performed. And then we also have about $180,000 in there for travel expenses according to our JEA travel policy. That'll only be used if needed to come on site. I'll just note that we did bring this to the committee back in August, and we had a change order of a little over $517,000. And we have spelled out in the award what that change order was for, but there were several milestones identified as the outcome of our initial critical gap assessment, which was planned to be completed by September. And that included the C2M project governance structure being established, updated test strategies, updated training strategies, and training needs assessment. So that's been completed, and now this change order is for the remaining identified work stream resources and project oversight identified during the critical gap assessment. I will pause there and ask the committee if there are any questions or comments.
I asked the same question I asked the last time to the project team. Are we pretty comfortable with the scope and fee that's presented here that will achieve our goal in June 22?
Yeah, so the actual go live is February 21st of 2022. We are on schedule. Bringing in Red Clay has provided the oversight and management of this project to kind of help us turn the corner and make sure that we have the right resources engaged. They've brought in about a dozen folks to supplement our project team, and they're working as partners to help manage Oracle deliverables as well. And I will just add, I expect that the award for the Oracle piece of this will be coming next week. So they're finalizing the contract now. And that'll be the last amendment associated with the project is in regard to professional services.
And Stephen, just a question. I'm sorry, hi, go ahead.
No, just a quick question, probably to David. Just wanted to confirm, this was originally was sent out as an informal RFP under 300, and because it was informal, I think the intent was to have the contract to be under 300, but now we're going to be well beyond that. If that's everything is okay there from the procurement standpoint.
Yeah, I think the procurement code from memory just talked about when an amendment increases above that threshold, then it has to come before the awards committee, even if the original informal award did not. And we've been doing that. So that's the only concern I would have, but I think that's being obviously met by this being on the agenda.
Yeah, all that part understood. I just want to make sure from the procurement perspective is JEA envisioned this contract to be less than 300. That's why we went informal, and I understand the need for the change orders, but now it's what, 2 million plus. If we had gone out originally to be a formal RFP, more firms would have responded because they would have expected the scope and fee to be much bigger than 300. Did we expect any?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and those are very good points. And you know, looking forward, keep that in mind for future projects of this type. But I don't think legally it precludes us from moving forward in this fashion. But from a policy or business decision, you know, I don't want to say lessons learned, but keep this in mind for, you know, future projects from the infancy, so we could decide, you know, handle it differently. But legally, fine.
Joe Orfano, Stephen, can you address that in terms of red clay? Because I think it needs to be stated on the specialized nature of this engagement.
Yeah. So to that point, the initial engagement was to bring them in to perform a critical gap assessment. Not knowing the outcome of that, basically we were looking at that as a scope of work. So the findings and review of the recommendations were examined, and in the spirit of moving the project forward, we pursued the amendment so that we didn't lose any more time. We are already way past our original go-live date. So, and then having Oracle engaged as well, we're not in a position where we can kind of pause, let all the resources go, and then bring them back, you know, a month or two later. So it was really about the efficiency of moving the project forward.
Yeah, thank you for that. Just want to make sure we're on record.
I'll just add also that, like Stephen said, sometimes you have to take these in phases. You don't know what the outcome is going to be of the assessment. And if you want to move forward with it, you know, it gives you the opportunity to be able to assess and see if that's something that you want to move forward with and how you want to handle kind of the next phases that come out of the kind of what they find in that critical gap assessment. So we've done this, we do this occasionally for situations like that to provide JEA with some flexibility.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think, Stephen, just a quick question on the budget. So the overall Oracle C2M project budget is good to cover not only, you know, like I said, the increase going from 300,000 to 2 million, but then also the Oracle side. We have plenty of budget on both fronts, correct?
Correct. And also consider that the increase between now and the end of the fiscal year was derived from funding associated with other projects that maybe were deferred or didn't come in as high as expected. We've also calculated and planned for the overage into fiscal year 22, which is where most of this is going to head.
Great. Thank you. I'll pass it back to you for a vote.
Thank you, Jen. May I get a motion to approve award item 3?
I move, so moved.
And a second?
Ricky Erickson, second.
Thank you, Ricky. All right, award item 3, we have a motion from Ivu and a second from Ricky Erickson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted.
Wonderful. Through the chair, award number 4 is a contract increase, and it was a joint project with the city of Jacksonville. This is for our 4th Street West brick rebuild from Pearl Street to Main Street. CAPS Land Management and Material LLC is the recommended awardee, and the contract increase change order amount is $71,468.69. I think what I'd like to also propose, and I'm sorry I didn't catch this sooner, instead of a contract increase, I'd like to make this a change order because this was due to unforeseen conditions. I will state that that the award amount was determined by some existing unit prices that were in the workbook, so I can see why this could have been a contract increase, but I think we're changing the scope and adding scope to it, so I'd like to call it a change order. The background, or we're expecting this to be completed by the end of this fiscal year, so September 2021, originally approved by the Awards Committee in January of this year. This, again, was a joint project with the city of Jacksonville, and that's allowed by our charter. And they bid this work out, you know, as a whole, where JEA's portion of it was included. The change order is needed due to unforeseen conditions that will cover quantity increases, telephone duct bank conflicts, and conflict with a gas main. So I'm going to pause there, and I'll ask the business if Michael is on, if there's anything he wants to add to that.
Jenny, it's Michael. I'm on the phone here. I don't really have anything to add. The project is getting close to wrapping up, and everybody's getting ready to move out of there here pretty soon.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Just want to make sure I stated everything correctly. Any questions or comments from the committee? All right, seeing none, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 4, including the update to change order?
Joe Orfano, so moved.
Ricky, second.
Thank you. Award item 4, we have a motion from Joe and a second from Ricky Erickson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 5 is a change order and a renewal. Excuse me, this is for privilege account management solution and maintenance and support, CyberArk software implementation. This includes, this includes management of all types of accounts from various systems and technologies such as Windows, Linux, Oracle, SQL, Cisco networking, web and websites like Twitter, Amazon Web Services, etc. This also includes our Microsoft Active Directory integration for the control of account access and a web-based portal for access management or account management. Optiv Security, Inc. is our recommended awardee, and the award amount is $104,051.64. we have a 3-year award to aid us in the implementation and also renewal for support as we work through the implementation. I'll note that sometimes we're able to negotiate into these implementation and then the support starts. But as we were working through the implementation on this one, it was important for us to have their support as we were moving through. This was originally competitively bid informally under the method of invitation to negotiate. And we've had 2 contract increases that were completed back in February and June for additional services related to some JEA project delays. And I will ask the business to weigh in on that in just a second. But for this change order in particular, this is additional fixed fee deliverable services in the amount of about $76,000, and then a 1-year support renewal of about $28,000. So that'll take us through September of 2022. The change order services are to be completed within 120 days of notice to proceed. And I'll just note that the additional features represented in this revised scope align with current requirements identified by a cross-functional project team, and will provide JEA subject matter experts the ability to perform their work within the CyberArk session. These features were not included in the original bid as they were discovered during the project through a change in the way that the system is operating. And so JEA would like to take advantage of those features now. I'll just pass it over to either Nathan or Vivi to just provide a little bit of information on the 2 change orders that happened prior to the awards committee. All this was done from an informal level until now, so you guys are just seeing this for the first time.
Okay, the first change order was due to, like Jenny said, additional features and time needed to complete the original work. This change order here that we're requesting is for additional features, also due to the time that the project has been going on and the team discovered additional features that are available that were not initially included in the original bid, which is the purpose for this change order here. And this change order here would take us to the end of the project and successful completion, which we are anticipating the end of the calendar year.
Thanks, Vivi. Do we have any questions from the committee? Any comments?
So is this a scope change or just we found stuff we wanted after the fact?
This is a scope change. That's the additional features.
Both, Ricky, yes. A change in scope due to additional features that we would like to take advantage of. Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 5?
I move, so moved.
And a second?
Joe Orfano, second.
Thank you. All right, award item 5, we have a motion from Hai Vu and a second from Joe Orfano. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. Pass it back to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So award number 6 is an invitation to negotiate. This is for waste hauling services for JEA. So just in a nutshell, this is solid waste rollout of front load or rollout and front load dumpsters. So, and recycling, so office trash and recycle that we gather mostly downtown. There's 2 other locations I think they support as well, but this is, that's what this scope is surrounding. We have a recommended awardee of GFL Solid Waste Southeast LLC, doing business as GFL Environmental. And the award amount is $2,111,240. And this is being awarded to the budget amount. This is a 3-year award, but we're awarding it to the FY22 budget, and I'll let either Rodney or budget jump in to give some more details on that. But this initial award is going to set up the contract term through September 30th of 2024. We do have 1 renewal option available to us. We received 2 proposals, had 4 companies attend the mandatory pre-proposal meeting, and the other 2 companies that did attend indicated that they had labor and capacity constraints and weren't able to bid at this time. So this is an invitation to negotiate. So both companies passed the minimum qualifications and were evaluated and provided clarifications as needed through our best and final, or just through negotiation meetings on the technical spec, and then we requested best and final offers from them. Neither company updated the pricing. So we moved forward, and GFL Environmental is the highest evaluated respondent for this work. The aggregate award amount, which includes the landfill fees and the franchise fees, is about 50% higher than when we compare to the historical rates and fees to the current contract. Suppliers, are stating, and we're seeing this across the board, that fuel, personnel shortages, equipment outlays, and capital costs are reason for the increase in price. And the last time we bid this out was 5 years ago. So to see that big of a jump in the market that we're seeing now versus when we bid it out 5 years ago is understandable from a procurement perspective and deemed reasonable when reviewing those numbers. I'll just pass it to Rodney to talk about the budgets a little bit. We have a paragraph on that, but I believe we're just going to be monitoring like the first 6 months of the performance. And then we'll use that information to make FY23 and 24 budget inputs. But in case I've stated that incorrectly, I want Rodney to chime in, please.
This is Rodney Loveman speaking. Yeah, that's right. The FY22 budget wasn't sufficient to cover the forecast spend based on the way pricing came in. So the business units went through and found different budget lines that we're going to use to support for the FY22 time period. And in putting together their FY23 budgets, they're going to look at what spend looks like over this first 6 months here to develop better FY23 and 24 budget inputs. One other thing I'll note is that Advanced Disposal was the last company that was the incumbent. And they were bought out probably about 10 months ago. And Waste Management was to be the company that was buying them out. I guess there was some DOJ involvement, and they split the contract between GFL for front loads and Waste Management for roll-offs. And you see Waste Management came in significantly higher. So there's some changing structures in business and things like that too that probably helped to impact the pricing increases.
Thank you, Rodney. It's important to note. Any questions or comments from the committee members?
Jenny, this is the standard 3-year deal. 1 year award this time and be up for renewal in a year. Is that correct?
It's a 3-year award with 2 1-year optional renewals. So what the awards committee would be approving today is a 3-year term at this contract cap. And if we need to come back likely to the awards committee between now and the end of 3 years, if we run out of funds, then you guys will see this again at that time. And if it's closer to that 1-year renewal option and they're performing well, then we could wrap the 1-year renewal option into any funding that we run out of for, as we're getting closer to the contract term. If it's close and kind of in that, 2.5-year mark, we could roll those together and do a 1-year renewal at that time and add funding to cover us through another year. But you'll likely see this again before the end of the 3-year term.
Okay, I was just wondering, market conditions change and all of a sudden people are able to hire, get people working. The market may change. I didn't know if we could bid it like that thing. Not renewed for a year.
Absolutely. The renewal is just an option. If they, since they are a new vendor, we do always have the option, if they aren't performing well, to terminate for convenience. And I think, part of Rodney's statement is, Rodney, do you have anything you want to add about the minimum quals and whether or not we're feeling comfortable with this company?
Yeah, they've been performing for I guess that's about March, I believe, and
okay.
And so they've been performing fine, my understanding from the business. But as far as speak to the term and market conditions, I mean, all of our contracts have language to support termination for convenience. Typically, we don't go through that if a company is performing well. But at this $2.1 million cap, if we find out in the market that there's significant downturns and changes, this 2.1 will last us about 1.9 years, a year and like maybe 9 or 10 months. So to do anything less than that in the contract, to get waste hauling someone set up and on the routes and delivering would be kind of messy. So at the minimum, a year and 9 months from now, we could determine we want to bid this back out if we see market conditions change and things free up. So that's an option too.
Sounds good, Rodney. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Rodney. Any other questions from the committee?
This is how I'm now more curious than anything else. I don't know how much of the contract will be for the downtown towers, but I'm curious to see how did the business take into consideration the move during fiscal year 22, and then also the changes that is expected to impact the generation of solid waste when we move into the new building with the work from wherever philosophy. I expect could be a lot of, in the hoteling, it's going to be a lot less waste generated in the future if we took those considerations and those impacts into consideration.
Yeah, this is Rodney. I'll let the business speak to it, but in general, the locations and the pull requirements are either periodically on a weekly or biweekly or 3 times a week basis, or on a call-out basis, depending on it. So, like, kind of, hey, when it gets full, we'll call you, and you got to come out and do the work within X number of hours. My understanding is that they've seen some more increase downtown, just due to all the stuff and people purging the office spaces. But I'll ask Chad or Robert to speak a little more to what they see and how they kind of actively manage the contract. And this does cover, the outlying areas as far as water treatment plants and things like that as well.
Yeah, this is Chad Yeager. As far as everything going downtown, GFL, I've already spoke with them regarding the move and how much more is going to be coming in. I've actually spoken with Alan as well, and talking and making sure that we did have the budget for this year. And if we needed more money, would that be possible? But as far as logistics and things like that, GFL is already on board and ready to go at any time. It's scheduled for 1 day a week pickup, but if I call them before 2 o'clock each day, they have to pick it up the next day. So it'll be a quick turnaround.
Chad, I guess to clarify, if you wanted to do that kind of on a different approach and reduce the weekly, I think if what Hai's saying is once we move to the new building, if we've got less people going in and less waste needing to be removed, could we reduce the schedule as well?
Yes, absolutely. We have the option to change. It says it in the contract. We can change pickups at any time. So if it's less, we can do every other week. If it's more, obviously every week. It's really up to JEA.
Perfect.
Thank you,
Any
Chad.
other questions? All right, seeing none, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 6?
This is Ricky, so moved.
Have a second.
All right. We have a motion from Ricky Erickson and a second from Hai Hu. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. And I'll pass it back to you, Jenny, for award item 7.
Thank you. Through the chair, this is our last award for the week. It's award number 7 and a contract amendment where we are actually decreasing the contract amount. This is for Emergency Rental Assistance Program Utility Assistance Funds. Just a little bit of background and history. This was a joint project with the city of Jacksonville. The city is a grant recipient of a federal award from the Department of Treasury, and it was about $29 million for local implementation of emergency rental assistance. The city council, Jacksonville City Council, appropriated $5 million of these funds to be used to provide emergency utility assistance to qualify eligible households in Duval County. So the city has procured the services of the United Way of Northeast Florida and Sativas, I believe, I might be saying that wrong, to assist with implementation of the program. And so JEA will work with the city, United Way, and they'll provide the assistance and gather related data in compliance with the grant requirements. And so we have the recommended awardee as JEA, and we brought this before the committee back in April with the original $5 million being allocated to us to help assist with this effort. At the beginning of September, the city procurement division authorized a reduction, and they have, there's quite a bit here of what was amended. So an administration award bid number AD, we've got some details as to what they reduced and what they, the process that the city took. And so in return, we are coming back to the committee to reduce the amount from $5 million to $1.5 million. Because this is over $1 million change, whether it's up or down, we bring it back to the committee from a transparency standpoint before we move forward with the contract amendment to sign. So I will pause there and see if you guys have any questions or comments.
It's Joe Orfano. For the record, at Ted Phillips' direction, we wire transferred the $3.5 million this past Tuesday to the city of Jacksonville. Ted wanted that payment expedited, so for the record, the payment has been made.
Okay, thank you.
And so this is hybrid. I'm assuming that if things change and the city decides in the future to increase the this EROP program, then we'll just go back to the awards committee to adjust accordingly. The agreement.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Correct, and there is an agreement that the city has put in place. It's being vetted currently with OGC, so Regina is looking at it, working with Lisikia in the mayor's office to make any changes that we see fit to the agreement before I sign off on it. So what I just heard from Joe is that the payment's already been deducted, and so why don't we update the award, or it's my recommendation to update the award to show this as a ratification, and we can just make a note that the payment has already been sent, and through, wire transfer. And that way we can show that transparency, and we'll put the date. Joe, we'll work with you to get that date.
Yeah, that was Tuesday, September 14th.
Okay, great. That's, thank you. That's helpful information. We got this actually yesterday from OGC, and they asked that we get this completed by the end of September. So we pushed it on to the agenda, and we didn't have that piece of information. So we will make that update.
Jenny, this is Blake. Just a quick question. You may have said it and I missed it. What was the reason that the city chose to drop that 5 mil to the 1.5? Did they give a reason?
Nathan, can you jump in on that? Did it state it in the backup that we got yesterday?
Yeah, good morning, this is Nathan. Excuse me. Yeah, the reason I believe that the backup is right in the background there, Jenny, of why they did it. And like you said, we got this late yesterday, so I don't know a whole lot more than what was in that backup. Apologize, but
would it be all right for me to make a little comment here?
Sure.
Absolutely.
This is Ted. So what has happened? They gave us the $5 million in April. We've only spent a very small portion of that. The money was to be for rental assistant and utility assistance. And since the utility assistance was such a small portion of that $5 million, they were just shifting it back up into the rental assistance program with another agency. And so based upon, I think we had spent around $300,000 of that money. So we think that we got enough to, at the $1.5 million, I think that carries us out for about another 6 months on this. So they just overfunded us. And so they were just shifting the allocation back to where people were needing the money.
Okay, thank you. That makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't a reputational risk there if something came out in the media about drawing the money. But thank you, that makes sense.
Thank you both. And I will also make a recommendation to add a note into the background. Nathan, if we could update this before we send it over to Jay, just to make that comment that funds are being shifted back to the rental assistance side as the funding or the spend has been significantly less than what we had originally anticipated.
Sounds good. We'll get that added, Jenny.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair just to note the update to the award from a ratification perspective and the additional information in the background.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 7, including updates related to the payment transfer to the city?
Joe Orfano, so moved.
Second?
Hi, second.
Thank you. So award item 7, we have a motion from Joe Orfano and a second from Haibu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. The entire agenda is approved for September 16th, 2021. Any other business to come before the awards committee? All right, seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen.